All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm not sure what episode this is. I think it's episode eight or nine. Um, I took a pretty big break between this episode and the last. I've been kind of visiting family and packing, getting ready to travel because tomorrow I am going to Italy for my university studies. I'm going to be there for about 4 months, full semester. Uh, Hope to do the podcast there. Obviously, hope to continue making content there. I have to get a few things. I have to get a new Xbox and just a few things, and then my travel setup will be complete again. But the last time I traveled, I really didn't have time because I wasn't going to be there for very long. I was in Paris for about a month, but I wasn't in the same place for very long. I was in like this one place for 2 weeks and then a week in this other place, and like I kept having to move things, so I ended up having to leave a lot of shit packed. But this time I will be in one place the entire time. Hopefully, that's what I've been told. That's what everything says, is that I'll have my own apartment there for a good 4 months. So hopefully I can, kind of have a makeshift setup that I can get kind of comfortable in, at least for the time that I'm there. A good full semester. Anyway, I'm recording this now because I have to tear this setup down. Kind of. I have to, take the microphone and the interface, and I'm taking one of the monitors because I'll be using my laptop, and I'll probably just plug the Xbox into my main monitor and go from there. But anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. There have been a few things that have happened over the course of my little hiatus. Mainly, I think the main point, and I'm probably not going to put this in the title just because I don't feel very comfortable about it, but the California fires have been kind of the main, all that I've seen in terms of, fucking news lately. Aside from the plane crashes and the incidents with planes, which I'm not going to talk about because I feel like it's bad juju. I don't want to talk about it before I'm flying. So we're just going to not address that, and I'm going to pretend it didn't happen. Anyway, yeah, the California fires have been pretty bad. It's been kind of a talking point in for everyone, it seems. I think everyone's pretty surprised at how bad it was. But, I hope everyone's doing fine. It's awful, and, you hate to see it. But I don't know, it's tough when there's things like that because I can't, most people can't really do anything. It's just kind of Mother Nature. Like, there's nothing. I can't stop the fire. You know what I mean? It's a tough thing when it comes to kind of natural disasters. I would call this like a natural disaster, right? Because, I'm not sure if they know how or when the fire started, but sorry, drinking my coffee. Obviously, the rest of it was natural, whatever the spread of the fire, right? So I think you could classify it as a natural disaster. Anyway. Yeah, I hope everyone's doing fine. If you're in California and you're listening to this, I think I do. I think I did see one listener in California on the last podcast. So if you're listening, I hope you're doing fine. And if anybody else from California is listening or is affected by the fires, I hope that you're doing fine and stay safe. And I'm hoping, that everyone stays safe. And I know it's terrible. And I've been lucky enough in my life to not have to deal with stuff like that. Just kind of really bad storms and tornadoes and stuff like that, but nothing, to that scale where it's like thousands and thousands of acres being burned, it's weird when we talk about these large kind of areas or like large quantities of anything. I feel like the human brain can't really actually comprehend how big a certain thing is. Like if I said 1,000 acres, I think that 1,000 is a lot, but there's no real way for me to like picture 1,000, let alone like 10 to 13,000 or whatever it's at now. I don't even know how many acres it's at now. But it's like it's impossible to actually envision and comprehend how big that is, But yeah, I hope everyone's doing fine. That's the last I'll talk about it. I don't want to, I don't want to, I don't want it to seem like I'm talking about it just to get clicks and stuff. I'm not going to put in the video or the tags or anything like that because I don't feel that that's right. But anyway, I just wanted to address it because that's what's been going on. And yeah, in other news, so I have a bit of a fear of flying, which is really unfortunate because I fly a lot. I've been lucky over the past kind of 2 years that with school, I, my travel has been limited to pretty much just university studies or visiting family. So, like, it's maybe I'm flying, twice a year. If I'm, it really, there was one year where I just flew once, and that was great. That was awesome. But anyway, at this point, I'm flying about twice a year, which is, I think, still more than most people. I feel like most people maybe fly once a year if they have a vacation, unless you're somebody who has, family spread across the world and you got to travel all the time and you have work and blah, blah. But most people, I feel like, don't have to travel that much. And oddly enough, these past 2 years is the least I've traveled. And I had like a long period. I had like a 6 to 7 year stint there where I didn't have to get on a plane. And it was awesome. I hate travel so much. And then I kind of went back into it. Oh my God. And then I traveled. I think I did about, I want to say 60 to 70 flights in 1 year, which was my most. It started in February too. It really was like this crazy, just this crazy fucking amount of travel. I'm trying to find the note. I had a note where I put like number of flights, I think. Number of flights. I could have sworn I had like a count. But I can't find it. So, oh wait, number of flights. Oh, why is this pinned and it's not that? Anyway, yeah, I think I hit about 60 to 7. It was a crazy number of flights. I never want to do that again. I was flying pretty much every other week to twice a week, 3 times a week. And I count. See, for me, a lot of people only count the trip. So like, I've went to Paris. That's a trip. That's a flight. But I always consider the flight back too, because most of the time you're flying back from where you went. So I ended up getting like 60 to 70 flights, which was just, I never want to do that again. It was so much. And I just, it's really bad when you start to just like know the airport. You know what I mean? Like you start knowing the spots in the airport, like, oh, this place is good. This pharmacy's good. Like, oh, I can get, I used to smoke at the time. So I'd be like, oh, I know where to get the good cigarettes. And yeah, I hated that year. But luckily after that, I've been stuck to about 4 to 5 flights a year, which has been great. Like this year, I think I'm going to be up there a little bit. I think I'll have probably, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 8 flights this year. Which is, or I guess 2025. Never mind. I'll have 4 flights this year. So that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. But I do have to fly tomorrow. I'm not looking forward to it. I just don't have that gene. You know how some people kind of have those. I love to travel and I love to see the world and I love to do this. Some people love, the whole thing about travel, like just going to the flights and having a good time and seeing the world. And I feel a bit like fucked up because I'm kind of complaining about something that I'm very lucky to be able to do, like, oh no, I have to fly to Florence for my university. Like it sounds really shitty, but I just hate the process of flying, like I don't like any of it. And I feel a little bad about that, but at the same time, it's like, well, I don't like it, so I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I have to fly tomorrow. I'm not looking forward to it. I don't like to have to pack up my life, I won't get too deep into it, but I've had to move a lot in my life, and maybe I think I might have talked about this on the last episode, about I think someone asked if I was going to be homesick. And, or no, that was after. Sorry, I'm all over the place. A friend of mine asked, why I didn't want to travel, and they brought up, like, oh, being homesick and all that stuff. And I don't really get homesick. And I think that's probably a product of me just having to move a lot growing up and kind of having to move a lot in my more recent years, like growing up, I think I moved maybe 2 or 3 times, probably 4 times up until I was like 16. And then I moved out of the house, and after that, I pretty much moved every year. And so I don't really get homesick anymore. I think, and it's kind of shitty. Like, I don't get homesick because I had to move so much, so I didn't really end up with a place that I could be like, oh, this is home. Aside from maybe, like my mother's house, which she's been in for a while now. But, in terms of myself, like I've moved out of the house, like, so my own place is kind of what ends up being my home. And I don't know, like as of recently, or like the past couple of years, I don't really get homesick. I just kind of get sick of travel. It really tires me out. Like, it's, for me, I know some people have different routines. I usually have to do international flights, so I have to be at the airport, like 4 hours before. I know you don't have to be, but I've had some experiences where, like, I should have just been here early because now I'm rushing and it's shitty. But it's such a long, 4 hours. You get there 4 hours earlier. You get through all the check-in and security and blah, 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 tickets and passport and blah, blah, blah. You get through, and then you're just waiting. You're waiting for your plane to board. Then you finally board your plane, and then it always takes forever to take off. And then you finally take off, and you're just, like, sitting there for hours. It's just, like, such a long thing, At least for me in my position, like, I'm not taking... it's like a 6.5 hour flight, and then a 3 hour layover, and then an hour flight. So it's, like, a pretty big trip, I think. And it's just like, there's nothing that prepares you, You just gotta do it, and it sucks. And when you're on the other side, you're like, thank fucking God that is over. But, yeah, I gotta do that tomorrow. I'm not looking forward to it. But, it is what it is. If anyone has any shared travel woes, please let me know, because I just don't like travel. It's lost on me, Like, I said this to a few people. I like, I don't mind being in a new place, right? Like, I think that's cool. Like, I am glad that I went to see Amsterdam and Berlin and all these places. Like, it was cool to see. I don't mind being there. The thing is the process to get there that I just really don't like. I don't like the long train rides. I don't like the long plane rides. I don't like having to pack. I don't like having to live out of a suitcase. It's just not my thing. But some people really like it. So shout out to you, because I just wasn't born with that. I don't have that gene. I don't have that traveler's gene that some people have, where they just love to travel. I feel uncomfortable. I feel like... Sorry, still drinking my coffee. Some people really like being in a new, exciting place. And again, I don't mind that, but the part that bothers me is, like, I don't feel safe because I don't know where I am, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know where to go. Like, when I'm in my city and I'm in my spot, I know where to go. I know, like, this is the good hospital. This is where I need to go for my license. This is where I need to go for my passport. This is where I need to go for this. Okay, my family lives here. Okay, I live here. University. Like, I know where to go, And if I ever need anything, I know where to go. I don't like that when you're in a new place, in a new city, you're kind of just lost again. You have to redo that over and over again. And I just don't like that either. I don't like that, like, I don't know where to go. Like, if I needed something, I legitimately don't know where to go. I have to Google it. And I'm not comfortable with that. It doesn't bother me as much, but it's just another aspect that I don't really like about being in a new place, But yeah, and I was talking to my girlfriend earlier, actually, about, because she was like, oh, you don't like travel alone because I do everything for you. And I was like, yeah, sure. There's that. Like, she usually helps me with packing and has the trip planned, because I just don't like that stuff. And she's used to it and she likes it. So I'm like, you can do that. But I didn't really think about it fully, because I don't like traveling alone. And it's not because I don't like to be alone, or I don't feel comfortable being alone. It's not that. I think for me, and it's specific to, like, air travel, and I don't know why. And maybe I'm just like a bitch and like a pussy, and I just, like, I don't know. But there's something about air travel and, like, going to the airport and stuff that I just feel there's something about traveling by yourself that really makes you feel alone, like completely alone, and not in like a depressing way. It's just like in an isolation. You feel like super isolated, even though there's, like, it's kind of that thing, like, oh, I'm in a crowd of people and I feel alone. You know, it's kind of like that thing. I think that's what I don't like about traveling alone. And I hadn't really put a lot of thought into it until like that conversation. But I thought about it, and I think it's this feeling of like you're in this place and there's hundreds of people around you, but you don't know anybody. And they're all going somewhere, and they're all kind of rushing, or they're all waiting, and everyone's in a bad mood, and everyone kind of keeps themselves, and you know, you just feel like really in your own little bubble that you don't feel super comfortable in because there's a lot of people around you still, you know? And it's just kind of weird. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but that's how, like, when I'm in an airport, I just feel like super alone. I just feel like super isolated. And it's not like scary, or it's just a little oddly uncomfortable, you know? Like, you just feel a little out of place. You're just like, I don't know, like, this feels weird. It gives you a weird feeling. And yeah, that's how I feel when I'm traveling alone. It's not a nice feeling. And, but I gotta do it. So, I guess it'll work out. I'm also a little bit worried about my layover. Because I have a 3-hour layover, which is fine. I think that's enough time. That's probably the lowest I would go, would be 3 hours, but I think it's enough time. But I'm always just like, you know, when you travel to a new place and a new country, like I've never been to Italy, and I don't know what that airport looks like, and I don't know, like, I know that I have to change terminals, but I don't know what that process is. Is it going to be like, you know, the States where you have to kind of like go through immigration, exit the airport, go back in through a domestic terminal? Like, I don't know what the process is, and that makes me a little bit anxious, you know, especially you're going to get off a 6.5 hour flight, and then you just got to like figure it out, you know? And that makes me a bit anxious. But you know, what are you gonna do? You just gotta do it. I don't know, you know. But yeah, anyway, I'm not looking forward to it, but that's enough of my travel bullshit. I'm excited to see how my new like travel setup goes. I always kind of keep tweaking it and getting new things and changing things. But I'm excited also that Civ 7 drops soon. I'm super excited. It's the first time I've been excited for a game in like fucking 2 years. But I'm super excited for that. I'm going to stream it, hopefully stream the shit out of it. Just have a good time, play with some friends. I'm just hoping it's going to go well, you know? Hoping it's easy. The weather's going to be cold. I do like cold weather, so I'm down for that, you know? But yeah, it's not all bad, you know? I tend to be pretty negative, but it's not all bad. I'm trying to see the bright side, you know? And it is really a good opportunity, and I'm not going to complain, you know? Even though I've complained for about 20 minutes now. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty... I don't know. I feel really nervous. When I haven't flown for a long time, I tend to feel super nervous. Just not even in like a... I don't like being on the plane. That makes me nervous for sure. I definitely have a slight fear of flying. Even at this point, with how many flights I have under my belt, I still feel kind of nervous every time. But I don't know. It's something about when you don't do something for a really long time, or like a long time, in my opinion. Like, I don't think I've traveled or flown for about 6-7 months now. And I don't know. It always just makes me nervous. And I know it's going to be fine because I've done it a million times, but it's always just kind of... I don't know. I always get like that feeling in my stomach, you know? Like, kind of like butterflies. Of like, oh, am I going to get there on time? Oh, is everything going to go smoothly? You know, you get in that kind of mindset of like... I don't know. That way of thinking. But anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling good. I guess this is the first, like, podcast of the new year. Happy fucking late new year, everybody. But I'm feeling good about this year. I'm hoping everything goes well. The world seems to be kind of crumbling a little bit, but I hope that it all works out, you know. But yeah, I took a long break here, which was interesting because I tend to take these breaks, and I think I've talked about this before, where like I burn myself out and then I take these massive breaks and I don't come back for like a fucking year. But this time I've actually come back and like I feel good about making content again, or like at least the idea of it, you know. Like I streamed today, and doing this now, and I don't feel too fucking like burnt out about it. I actually feel good about it. So I'm glad that that's the case, because I mean, it sucks. I got to take a bit of a break again, but I streamed and like it didn't go completely terrible. Like no one was watching or something. Like I still had like an okay amount of viewers for being gone for, whatever, 2 weeks, pretty much the full. Yeah, I think from New Year's on, I was pretty much gone. So I don't know. I'm happy about that. It feels good that, I can kind of take these breaks and I don't lose just everything. I think that's another thing with YouTube though. Like YouTube streaming. For some reason, it feels like on Twitch, and I've had this before, where like you get this momentum, but you gotta keep doing it, or like people will forget you. And that always happened to me. Like I'd gain all this momentum, I'd get a good amount of viewers, but then I had to leave for some reason, or it was finals week, or I had to travel, or whatever. And then it seemed like it's just everybody forgot about me. But it seems like this YouTube streaming thing is kind of a different game. Like, it's more about just like, you're probably going to get a consistent amount of viewers baseline, and it'll probably go up the more you stream, but you should at least get a baseline amount, just because of how YouTube recommends streams. So that's really nice. It takes a lot of the kind of like pressure off of like, fuck, like streaming on Twitch when I did have a lot of viewers, or like had more viewers than usual consistently, you did get this feeling of like, oh my God, like I can't take a day off, You get this feeling like, oh, if I take a day off, I'm going to lose out on X amount of viewers, X amount of followers, X amount of ads, or whatever the fuck, And it feels different on YouTube, which is refreshing. And I wish I would have found it sooner, because it feels a lot more rewarding. Because I feel like you can really see your progress more and see, how your videos are doing, how your streams are doing more. Whereas on Twitch, I feel like it's a bit disconnected, in the sense of like, you're not really sure how everything's going, Like, yeah, you have fucking, whatever, your stream summaries and stuff, but I don't know. It doesn't feel as like, not integrated, but it doesn't feel as like tangible as a YouTube thing for some reason. I don't know why. I have no clue why. But yeah, anyway, I think I'm gonna call it there. I've been over my time, so to speak, and I don't want to keep this going for too long. So with that in mind, I'm going to be traveling soon, so I might have a bit of a break between the podcasts. We'll see. I might pre-record one or something. I don't know. But yeah, I hope everyone is doing well. Happy late as fuck New Year. And yeah, I hope that everyone's doing well and that we're all good, But yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one, and I'll be in Italy hopefully. So see you guys then. Bye bye.